Welcome back to Dark Florida, the podcast where we talk about the strangest mysteries lurking in the Sunshine State and beyond. We dive into eerie true crime, historical oddities, cryptid sightings, paranormal encounters, and strange news that defy explanation. I'm Brooke and we're here to uncover the unknown and bring you the darker side of the Sunshine State. This week, we're heading deep into the woods with two real Florida Bigfooters. This week, I'm joined by Kathy Westerman and Pamela Esper of Bigfoot World, Cryptids, and the Paranormal Researchers of Central Florida. These are two researchers who are out there doing the work, putting in the hours, boots on the ground, long nights in the forest, listening, documenting, and following where the evidence takes them. In this episode, we talk about their field experiences, the encounters that have changed them, and the evidence that they've captured to help prove the existence of the elusive skunk ape, or at the very least, show us that we are not alone out there. We're going to dive into strange vocalizations, the paranormal, and some truly mind-bending moments in the dark. We get into all of that and more on this week's episode of Dark Florida. But first, if you have had a strange encounter or would like to be a guest on the show, email me at darkfloridapodcast@gmail.com and be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Dark Florida Podcast for everything that's happening behind the scenes, and subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@darkflorida411, where you can catch real investigations and more. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/darkflorida, or wherever you're listening, drop a 5-star review and share the show with a friend. It really helps. All right. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Dark Florida. This week, I'm really excited to share a conversation that highlights not only incredible research, but a huge milestone in the world of cryptid investigation. I'm joined by Kathy Westerman and Pamela Esper, researchers whose work has led to one of their findings being a documented handprint being entered into the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. So we're going to get into all of that and more, as well as the documentation and the credibility behind what they're doing. Their research has produced an extensive body of evidence, from physical impressions and prints to complex structures that have been found deep in the woods. This week, we're going to focus on their journeys and what drew them into this work, and the experience that has changed them, and what keeps them going out into the field week after week. So Kathy and Pam, welcome to Dark Florida. I am so grateful to have you both here.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So you both are a part of Bigfoot World, Cryptids, and the Paranormal Researchers of Central Florida.
Well, to be honest, I went to a conference in Fort McCoy. I went to a little get together, a Bigfoot get together, and after hearing what people were seeing and things like that, I decided I can probably do this, go into the woods. And then somehow I wound up going to my first conference in Lakeland, and that's where actually I met Pam. Then once I met Pam, we realized we didn't live too far from each other, and we just started going out. And we've been going out since 2019. And we have other, people in the group as well, but we go out a lot together because, she's closer.
Well, I understand that you both have a rich history in the paranormal. So we'll start with you, Pam. I know that you're from Pennsylvania. What kind of got you started in looking into Bigfoot and the paranormal? What drew you into this world?
I'm from Chestnut Ridge, so back in 1970, Stan Gordon and all that activity of Bigfoot, UFO, all that pretty much went down, and it was pretty much our area. So we kind of grew up with that. It was just a norm, and we lived up on the ridge. We're in it, right there where everything happens. Just growing up, my pap and everybody would tell us all as kids, to be in before dark. Get Bigfoot would get you. It was a norm for my family.
Now, did any of your family members or close friends ever have any sightings?
But yeah, my aunts both seen it. My uncle seen it. I've never, still to this day, never seen it. No.
Now, Kathy, what kind of sparked you to get into this world of cryptids and paranormal?
Well, this all started way back when a group of us ladies worked at our job and we all got together and we were all into the paranormal. So we started a group. We called it RIP, Researchers into the Paranormal. And we would go out into graveyards. We would go to people's homes that people would call us and come to their home and try to figure out what kind of paranormal activity was happening in their home. We've been to hotels, and the best hotel ever, haunted ever hotel, is Cedar Key. But so we were a group of girls, and then that, but I've always, been into that. I am not sensitive or anything like that, but I just always been drawn to the paranormal and whatever weirdness could be out there. And then it led into going to this one little get together because I live in the Ocala National Forest. I've never thought about Bigfoot. I've never thought about going to look for a Bigfoot, never even give it a thought until I went to this one little thing out here in the woods, and I thought, well, if there's a Bigfoot, I'm a deer hunter, I should be able to hopefully see one day. And then we started going out and getting all this evidence and structures, what we see, and things that we look for, different things that most people wouldn't look for, that would look unusual or different to the normal person. But I've always loved the paranormal and anything weird or crazy. That's fun to me.
Absolutely. So you had that moment and then you guys met. So basically, you and Pam are the founding members of Bigfoot World, Cryptids, and the Paranormal Researchers of Central Florida.
I would say that to be absolutely true. We have James, he's a sensitive. We have Rebecca, and then we have Dan, and we have Brooke and Marion.
You have a Facebook group that has, I want to say, over 10,000 or 12,000 members now.
Yes, that's correct. We have a Facebook group of 12,000 members, and it is run by a very tight knit group of moderators. They are so good. They weed out the trolls, and they're very good at what they do. So they're a very good group of mods, and we're very proud to have them watching our group as it grows.
Absolutely. And I guess for anybody listening, if you want to go ahead and give that page a follow, it will be in the show notes. Getting back to the research, what was that first moment that kind of drew you into the world of this paranormal? And you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing this more on a full time basis. Was there a specific moment or experience that really just made this all feel real for you?
Yeah. I got interested in the ghost hunters, and I kind of got where I really, really got into the show. So I decided that I was going to pay the money and fly to Colorado to see the Stanley Hotel with them. And I got the scare of my life. And the things that happened to me there is so bad and so scary that I thought it was a joke, and I thought it was all a money thing. But to find out it was definitely real. And I said I'd never mess with this again. And then, unfortunately, I got obsessed with it. And after that, I became a full time ghost hunter. But yeah, that's what got me into it, was definitely taps. That's, I did, it was just, at first I was scared to death and didn't want nothing to do with it because it was just so real to me that I was too shocked. But then I loved it. So
And, the Stanley Hotel, that is one of America's most haunted places. You really went to the scariest place possible. Now, what about you, Kathy? Was there a specific moment or experience for you that just really clicked and made it all real? Like, oh wow, like this is something that's really real that we're out here investigating.
Well, it was many years ago. It wasn't when I was in my years of being a paranormal researcher or investigator or a Bigfoot researcher. This happened many, many years ago when my family went to visit my grandmother in Zephyr Hills, Florida. There were some orange groves, and the parents stayed behind, and all four of us went running around into the orange groves. And so we're playing, running around, and all of a sudden we came across something none of us to this day can explain. And we all saw it. And what we saw was a young boy hanging from a tree, and there was a dog, and it was barking around him like it was barking. All of us ran back to the house, got the adults, all ran back. There was nothing there. There was no signs of anything there. There were no prints of any dogs. There was no scuff around the prints of any humans playing jokes or anything like that, because our parents looked at all that stuff when we were younger. So nobody to this day can actually explain that. And I think that is what started it way back then, to where something goes on that we don't understand. And then I just, from there, I've always been into it. Now, the rest of my family is not. I'm the only one. So, but that's probably what really started it for me.
Wow. That's really spooky. So, you guys came across some residual energy or some kind of apparition out there that really stuck with you from an early age.
But I mean, it stuck with all of us. Still remember it to this day, and all. I mean, we saw it, but did we? What did we see? Because there was nothing there when we got. And we saw this dog. We all saw this dog, and it was tied up, and so there was no signs of anything. Like, even on the ground, they looked for footprints and dog marks, and they couldn't find anything way back then. I guess that's what really did it, because I've always been in. That's what I remember, and I've always been into that.
Well, now, since you both had these experiences, I'm sure that that probably shaped how you view this field today. I think for some researchers, they're out there to prove its existence, maybe to themselves or to others, but you both had experiences in which the paranormal and the supernatural, it showed itself to you and you guys experienced it. So, how do you think that those experiences kind of shaped how you approach your field work today?
Well, and a lot of stuff that we do today, believe it or not, the equipment that we use in what we do today was the same, is the same equipment we used back then. I have added more to it, but it's the same, some of the same equipment we use in paranormal as we use in what we do in the woods. Another thing is, it's just like people. We're flesh and blood. When we pass on and move on, we become spirit. There's no difference than any animal or anything living in the woods that was or is flesh and blood, will pass or did pass, that will become spirit. Heaven to a spirit is wherever they want to be, and is wherever they're happy. That's their heaven. Same as a spirit animal. That's their heaven. They lived in them woods. They roam them woods. We use we use several types of equipment, because everything has different types of lenses. So sometimes our own eyes, because I'm not sensitive, we can't see it, but the other lenses that we use in our equipment, different lenses pick up different things. And I feel that's how come we get spirits sometimes in our photos.
Right. So, with Bigfoot World, cryptids, and the paranormal researchers of Central Florida, right now, the main focus is Bigfoot field research. But there is that special interest in the paranormal. And, like you just said, cryptids and supernatural things of all kinds. What fuels this for you?
Well, I feel like when we go through our footage, I think a lot of people don't really realize what's out there, even with orbs and just oddities with light phenomenons and stuff like that. That it's real and it's out there, and I like being able to prove that with the footage. And that's why, to me, it's so important to always be recording. Try to always be recording, because we miss a lot. We miss because we weren't recording. If we would have had that recording, we would have had that. Now we don't and it's something that we can never get back. So it's
Yeah,
so
true.
important. Turn it on. We tr- we try to turn on our stuff all the time, because we use several pieces of equipment, but we didn't
Yeah, but
have a
there's a lot of
recorder.
things out there too. People think it's just Bigfoot, and but there's so much stuff in those woods, especially Ocala. There's a lot of things. You really have to be open minded and have a just have that mentality set to realize that there's paranormal stuff out there too. And
Yeah.
You got to go in with that mindset.
Absolutely. I think that's what gives you guys, especially, a unique approach. And I think more people, luckily, are coming around to this idea of thought, which is that Bigfoot may not be exactly what we think or have thought for many years. We're starting to see these parallels between Bigfoot and what we would commonly describe as the paranormal or the supernatural. People seeing lights before or after a sighting, seeing those orbs like you were talking about, Kathy, and seeing a Bigfoot. So typically those things wouldn't be categorized together, but people are observing this phenomena. So I think that because you guys have that paranormal background, it really gives you quite a wide skill set for the kind of research that you guys are doing.
Agreed. And also, not only do we have the Facebook, but to let everybody know, we do have a TikTok and an Instagram as well. So that's another area that people can go to is Bigfoot World Florida 1. That's our TikTok. So a lot of our weird, abnormal stuff is on there too, so people can see it for themselves what we're talking about.
Now, what are some of your key pieces of equipment that you never leave home without?
1 is the GoPro, 2 is the thermal, 3 is the IR binoculars, audio recorder. Sometimes we go full scale, I would say. Okay. So if it's full scale, everything comes out. We have a new Zynex. That is an amazing color night vision. That is an amazing piece of equipment. And we have gotten some really crazy light phenomenon. But when we go full scale, we bring it all out. A lot of times when we're filming, we're not looking through, we have it set up somewhere, or we have the audio set up, or we have a GoPro going, and we have to go through everything. We have a lot of equipment that we use full scale. We bring it all out. If we just go out for a few hours or what have you, we'll bring the GoPro and the thermal and also the tri-field meter. That's an important one too.
Now, I know that you take out there a thermal, and you caught a very interesting piece of evidence with that thermal. I believe that it's called stepping out. What is the story behind the stepping out footage? And I will be sure to put that link in the show notes. This is an incredible piece of footage to me. When I first saw it, my jaw just dropped.
For sure.
Okay, that is a good one. So on this particular day, James and I went to our area that we call Ancient. We came our area, so this is called Ancient, and we had our thermal. Now, I have the thermal on a device that I put it on, but below that, I usually keep the tri-field meter attached to it. But we were filming behind us. James was doing the filming. I was walking with him. He had a face behind him, and we were walking in our area. We stay there, whatever. We're done now. Go back in front of the computer, start going through the footage. Now, if I was to go through my footage at like regular speed, I would have missed this, totally missed this, totally. So when we go back over our footage, we don't watch it at full speed ahead. We bump it all the way down to 0.25. And so what you see in this footage is 2 things. You can see the hand. You can't see the whole arm. You can see the fingers, and you can see like it looks like it's trying to move the branches. But the best thing I see, and the easiest thing to see for a lot of people, is where the leg steps out and extends. So you can see a leg stepping out. This is right behind us, and we had no clue. I found it in the footage. After reviewing it, we also went back and tried to recreate this to make sure it wasn't us, but it's clearly not us because we don't have thighs that big and our leg isn't full of hair.
Right. And you got this by filming backwards, correct?
That is correct. That's actually the second. That's the second time we filmed backwards there, and you got something that we can't explain.
Now, okay, so you said this was the second time. What was the first piece of footage that you found from there that was abnormal?
So this day, it was Dawn and Dawn was filming. She had the thermal. She's filming from behind. We walk out, we get back, we're back in front of the computer, going through the footage, and all of a sudden you see something. And I can't explain what it is. I don't know what it is. I will tell you. I can tell you what it does. It comes off the tree, comes down, and goes in the bushes. But once again, if I wasn't watching this at 0.25, I would have missed it. When you go through footage, you can't take your eyes off of the computer or you will miss it.
Well, and I think another thing to point out here is that whatever that creature was able to move so quickly from the
Fast.
tree to the ground that, I mean,
It
just
was
think about
incredible.
how fast I mean, just a matter of a second.
Yeah, it's, I mean, that's why they can, that's why I believe whatever that was can
Mhm.
go from one place to another with a lickety split, no time at all. Like snap your fingers and they're there. It
Yeah,
was
for
Now,
fast.
sure. Yeah, that's
do
fast.
you think that is it are you suggesting it's possible that the being you captured was a Bigfoot?
I'm going to be honest how I feel about that. I'm going to tell you what my personal feeling is when I look at this footage. And I know this is the craziest thing in the world to say, but when I look at that movie, The Jetsons, when I see this, it reminds me of a person with one of those backpacks on them that they can fly all over the place. That's what it reminds me of. I feel, I don't know, but
I
people
think it
say
was
different things.
I think it was a Bigfoot. I do. I can honestly sit here and say I think it was.
Right.
It was something, I'll tell you.
That is another piece of footage I will go ahead and link in the show notes. I've seen this video and I have to be honest too. To me, I totally see what you're talking about. And it appears to be this like humanoid figure with something on its back. And could that potentially be a juvenile or
Maybe.
something else? Being that you're based in Ocala, do you find that you're coming across a lot of paranormal and supernatural things while you're out there? I mean, there have been countless stories that I've heard of ghosts appearing in the forest, people hearing voices, feeling overcome with dread, and even having Class A sightings of Bigfoot out there as well. Do you guys find that you're coming across a lot of these types of things while you're investigating that area?
Absolutely. I do think there's some UFO stuff goes on around that area in Ocala.
So these are things that you're coming across a lot in your research.
Yeah, the Ocala National Forest is absolutely has a lot of energy in it. And Don was with me outside of our area at night. I sat on the road and played with my new Zynex that day. And all of a sudden, with the equipment, I saw this big bright light getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it got smaller and smaller. And I'm thinking, well, a car is coming. That's simple. A car is coming down the road. Call it a day. Well, when I took the Zynex away from my eye, there was absolutely no lights, no cars, no nothing, and it got big and it shrunk. It got big and it shrunk. So I don't know what the heck's going on in the Ocala National Forest, but it is. It's very amazing and it's very cool to sit out at night and capture it all as much as we can.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you were able to see that with the equipment, but it wasn't visible to the naked eye.
No, it wasn't. Because I was with Dawn. I'm like, don't you see that light? Don't you see that light? She goes, no, no. I mean, we got all that on recording too. That was just amazing that I did not see a light. And then you're looking at it, it gets smaller and bigger. And where did that light come from? Why didn't we see it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like we got strange lights in it at our paranormal investigation that we recently did. These blinking lights, we couldn't see them with our own eyes. I truly thought that James still had one of his devices on. It was blinking green lights, and I thought I was recording that. And to come to find out, nope, the batteries died. He had put that away a long time ago.
Yeah, there's definitely a different energy out there for sure. And there's definitely some supernatural stuff that's going on. Are there any particular investigations or experiences that still give you the chills when you think about it?
Yes. We camped for the weekend and we just got done with dinner and it was just getting dark and we pulled up to our area at Turtle Way and we were all in the vehicle. We all just got out and I'll never to this day, I will never forget this because I know from so many different groups that the same thing happens. And we got the scream like a lady, but it was so terrifying and so intense and there was nothing there. It was so bad that we all backed up and dove into the vehicle. It was that intense and we still don't know to this day what it was, but if you research stuff on this happening with people hunting Bigfoot. They do say they have this loud scream. I know Kentucky's known for that real well, and it sounds like a lady scream. But all I know is that was something that'll stick with me forever.
My gosh, that must have been terrifying.
It was.
When it comes to the paranormal, so Cedar Key Hotel is so haunted and they're so proud of their ghosts. We got a room back there many, many years ago. We decided to go there as a group. Our group was called RIP. And ironically, Pam was in a group called RIP. Two different RIPs way many years ago. So it's crazy.
Very cool.
But yeah, we were called researchers into the paranormal. We went to Cedar Key Island Hotel and we had got adjoining rooms because this is where some paranormal activity happened. Supposedly, in one of the rooms, somebody got murdered. And she was, a lady of the night that went from room to room to room. I don't want to say the bad name. So anyway, we had set up in there, and a couple of things happened that night. Like with our thermometer, like it was like 74 degrees in the room. We had a one that we can go outside, and like a remote one we can watch it from the inside. So when we got outside, it was like 74 degrees, and then boom, it had a spike up to 90, and then it went back to 74 again. So that was pretty cool. And at the same time, so I did listen back to the EVP, and in the EVP it did say, "I'm a whore." That's what it said. I can't help it, but that's what it said. So that night, we get up ready for our nighttime investigation. And the story is there was a little boy. This used to be a store back in the day. And there was a little boy who stole some sugar. And so he went downstairs and he drowned it in the cistern, never to be alive again. So he was gone. You had to go down a ladder to get down there. They took us down there. That was pretty cool. Okay, but the coolest thing was it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had the camera, those old cameras with the VHS cameras. I had that running. And so then I went back to look at the footage because I left that running on a tripod. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. Three of the girls walked out on the deck and took a right. And this was the second floor. Okay. After that, there comes an apparition of a ghost walking. And right before the girls was to come back in, it went back the other way. Now, I always try to debunk things and make sure it is what it is and it's not what it's not. So back in the day, this is so many years ago, back in the day, I actually took this to a filming company that had big, big screens because I wanted to make sure it wasn't the light from a car, maybe shining on the flags that were blowing in the wind. So I had to debunk all that stuff. But it is on the Facebook page, and you have to go under videos. It's under the Island Hotel on our Facebook page, and you can actually see you can see through. So it's a ghost. It's the only ever ghost that I ever captured on film after all these years. The only one that I've ever captured on film. And it walks one way and it goes the other. And I made a copy for the Island Hotel. They were so happy. They let us like roam around the whole entire place at 3 o'clock in the morning, the bar, the downstairs, the kitchen. There was so much going on in the kitchen at 3 o'clock in the morning. There were you can hear pots and pans banging. You can hear like someone act like they're running around. The ice machine was going crazy. Never, it was the craziest night ever. And but it got really crazy. And with the pictures that we got back then, I took a lot of pictures. All these years gone by, I don't know how many, 20 years gone by, and I still have all this footage. I never got rid of anything. But that was pretty neat at the Island Hotel. Really, really haunted. Oh, we had orbs. Saw orbs for the first time with my own eyes in two places. Here at the Island Hotel in the hallway. They were pink and they were coming out of the wall. We all saw it. It was amazing. It was awesome. And the other hotel that we investigated, we were standing outside the Biltmore and looking up. You can see orbs flying all around the building. It was amazing. So I do like orbs. And there's a difference in dust and there's a difference in orbs. Dust are round circles that are flat, no texture. Orbs have energy and texture and sometimes even faces in them. So there's the difference between dust orbs and spirit orbs.
Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely good to know how to tell those things apart. I know, Pam, you also captured a ghost once on camera.
Yeah, it's St. Augustine. We rented the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and so it was just a private investigation. And so we went to the top, and the guy that actually did the tour with us, that took us on it, he goes, okay, as you go up, he goes, everybody go to the right. And I was the last one up the steps. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go the opposite way since everybody's going one way, just to see if I could capture something. And sure enough, I got the lady in white, and I turned it into the lighthouse, and they still have it today.
So I guess it's safe to say that Florida is very haunted.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Is there any particular piece of Bigfoot evidence that you have captured aside from stepping out and the other video of the creature descending
One
from
from
the
the tree.
tree? Is there any sort of physical evidence that you guys have captured, like any sort of castings or things of that nature?
Pam's the caster. She's a professional foot caster. So we have casted a few footprints, and we did cast a handprint that will, and also we captured some hair off a tire in the Ocala National Forest, which Tim T took a year to process it, look at it, examine it, research it, and he says it is the Bigfoot hair, and that will be in Ripley's Believe It or Not, as well as the hand casting that we did.
Wow, that's incredible. Can you walk us through what it was like finding those pieces of evidence? And I know you must be so proud to be a part of that museum. So, congratulations. I am so excited for the grand opening.
I am too, and thank you so very much. Bigfoot World is my very first research area. We didn't even know if it was still printable or castable, to be honest. We did not know if it was still castable. I did my best. I brought my friend Jeannie out there, and we casted it, and it's the only good cast I ever had. You ask Pam, mine just come out. But this one, you can actually see the palm. You can't really see the fingers so much because it's really a bunch of pine needles here in the Ocala National Forest, and it wasn't like in mud and everything. But you could actually see some part of the thumb, but you could see the palm and the hand. The palm of the hand is really defined. I also have a picture that I took in 2019 of a structure, but inside the structure there appears to be, a Bigfoot sitting in there, and that's probably one of the clearest pictures that I've ever, got, because one, I take pictures with my Canon camera, not the cell phone, so that was a pretty good picture, and I think that belonged to the handprint that we got too. I had Cliff Brockman look at it, and he confirmed that it was a Bigfoot hand. And it's also sitting in the museum in West Virginia, at the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum. There is a copy of it there. If anybody lives in that area, when you pop in, ask to look at the Bigfoot World handprint, because it is there in the museum.
And it's about to be in the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in St. Augustine. There is a ceremony that's going to be coming up here in just a couple weeks that we're going to be attending for the big unveiling.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's awesome.
I had a friend. Her name was Christine. She has now passed away, but she was such a beautiful person, and she was not a Bigfooter. She was scared to death of the forest. She did not want to ever go off trail, and basically we stayed in parks because I was teaching her photography. She had just gotten a camera, and I shoot in manual mode, so I was teaching her how to do all that, and we would definitely go find birds and all the time going to parks. So one day I'm like, hey, let's go out to the Ocala National Forest. And she goes, no, Kathy. She always called me Kathy. She says, no, Kathy, we can't do that. I said, well, why not? She goes, I know you. You go off the trail. And I said, I promise you I'll stay on the trail. We'll just stay on the sandy trail in my area where my research area is. And she goes, okay. So I got her out there walking down the trail, and I saw a structure. And I was explaining to her what we feel about structures, that we feel that maybe they're made by Bigfoot or forest people is making these structures. They're not natural the way they're falling, because you can tell a natural fall compared to something that's intertwined and weaved and on top and in and out and all that. So I took this picture of just the structure from, far away, picture of the whole structure. I've gotten home. I'll never forget this. I was sitting in front of the computer, and I was going over the pictures, and being a paranormal investigator, you have to go through all the pictures. You have to look for all the ghosts and everything else. So here I am, looking at this picture, and I noticed something was odd. I'm like, wait, there is a dark spot in the middle of all this greenery. That's not right. Something's different. So I zoomed up on the picture itself, and lo and behold, I remember taking my hands and putting them on the side of the desk and pushing back my chair, like rolling back, and said, "Oh my God, I think I got a Bigfoot." That's what happened. And then I posted it on and I posted it. I didn't even have the Bigfoot World site up yet. That was before that. And then I looked at it. I put it on a site, and people were saying, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot." I was just now, it was just then getting into it, kind of thing. And then I made that my logo. And I believe leading into where I took the picture was a deep half, like, it was, you could tell it was old because it had rained, but it was a deep impression, but not the whole foot. After a while, I started thinking back, and I'm like, maybe that was an old footprint that was leading into where I took that picture. And then I was thinking, all right, that deep print right there might be leading into there. That could be that footprint of that Bigfoot that I just took. I don't know. But I wanted to recreate this because I really wanted to know two things. Was there a stump there? Was this a stump? Am I really taking a picture of a stump and thinking it's a Bigfoot? Was it a palm frond? You know how palm fronds can trick you? I'm thinking, could it have been a palm frond with the tree there? So I decided to recreate this about the area where it was, because on the path there was this structure that I call the fence. And it's right on the trail. That fence is it looked like a fence of wood. It was just like a fence. So I knew it was past that. And I had brought my friend Barbara out with me. I told her it was my birthday weekend, and I told her I was really wanting to find this, and I was not coming back in that day until I found it. So on this path, we're walking back and forth, walking back and forth. And right when I was in front of it, she said to me, "Kathy, it's right in front of you." And I said, "No, it's not. I'm looking right in front of me, and this is not it." She goes, "Yeah, but you got to turn. You have to angle yourself." So when I put myself at an angle and looked in at an angle instead of straight in, because we're on a path, there it was. There it was. I took a picture of it. We recreated it. We have that on film and everything. We have a picture of before and after. I went in there. Lo and behold, there was no stump. There was no palm fronds. There was nothing there that could have been in the way of that picture. So in the pictures on the social media, I have circled the tree that stayed the same. And I went in there, and you could hardly see me. And then I went in to sit. When I took the picture of the structure, it's the whole structure. But in that structure, way deep, I would have absolutely missed that if I hadn't to take the time. Because when you look through pictures, you gotta look at everything, because you don't know what's in anything, and you really gotta look, because there are a lot of spirit stuff that does show up.
Now, in regards to the possible Bigfoot that you captured in this photo, do you know roughly maybe how tall it was? If you had to
I
guess based
don't.
off of the scale?
I don't, because it appeared to be sitting, but as big as it looks, I would, if I had to guess, I would say 8 to 10 feet.
Connor came to recreate it. He's tall. He thinks it was kneeling down because he got in there and we took pictures of him. And sure enough, as he's kneeling down, it looks like it must have been pretty good size, because we definitely could tell. And so did he, said it had to have been a pretty good size.
That's pretty incredible. Like it maybe was hunkered down watching you guys on the
Yeah,
trail.
because we'll see that trail also, ATVs drive on that trail. So if they're nosy, sometimes I feel like Bigfoot are just as nosy as a butterfly. If you notice a butterfly, when the butterfly sees you, they come around and check you out. So I think the Bigfoot do that too, like on trails and stuff. They're watching people. Trust me, they're watching people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they are very curious about what us as humans are up to
Yeah,
and what we're doing.
I do. And they copy us. I think they try to copy us too. Maybe that's why they copy owls and or stuff like that. They're just mimickers.
You spoke about finding a sample. What is the story behind that?
We were walking down a trail. This one was an actual trail. We were just starting off, and we saw a normal little trail. And when we were walking on that trail, we saw actually 3 tires. They all matched. They all had matching numbers. They were all the same tires. And so there was a point we decided to, well, it's time to go in now, like off the trail, just cut through the brush. So we decided to go into the left. And we were walking around. I don't know, it's about, I would say, maybe 500 feet to where we found a fourth tire. When we found this fourth tire, it was actually by a structure, an X structure. And one of the girls that was with us, she had noticed there was hair on the tire because what had happened, there was just a little itty bitty tiny nick on the tire. And on that nick was a little clump of hair. So we had gotten the gloves on and everything and put it in the test tube. And so we had collected that hair. So that fourth tire was carried off and dropped there by by that structure. So what we did is we notified Tim T in Florida, and he's a tracker, a hunter. He actually has all the hair of basically almost all the animals out in the forest, and he did a big study. He did all the research because he did a video on researching the hair. And at the end, after a year, he came back and said that it was Sasquatch hair. And that's the hair that's going to actually be in the museum as well, Ripley's Believe It or Not.
That's really incredible. How did that feel to you, Pam, finding that sort of piece of evidence?
That was a great piece of evidence. And where it was found was just really strange. I mean, it was a tire back in nowhere. And this whole area right there was definitely a very strange area. You could just feel energy there. You just knew it, but it's not a place that we usually go. So that was also nice to go somewhere new. And it definitely didn't disappoint, that's for sure. And Tim is so good. And I sure believe that he definitely, I mean, like she said, it took a year, and this man really went all out. So yeah, I thought it was awesome.
While Bigfoot and the paranormal are kind of the main focus, cryptids is also in the group title. Are there any other cryptids that you come across in your fieldwork besides just the paranormal and the big guy?
Actually, I think we have captured some little people on some of our pictures. When we go back and view our pictures, little people. Yep, we have James in the group that sees little people. He sees lizard men.
So the other creatures are more like the fae?
Yeah, I actually got a picture of a fairy, a little one, little boy. Yeah, I do believe they're absolutely in the Ocala National Forest. They really are. I have a friend, not going to mention any names, but he and his buddy, actually one was following them, and it wasn't a dragonfly, and it was a real fairy following. They are there in the Ocala National Forest. You really have to watch out for any looking type of dragonfly things that are flying around you because you'll be surprised.
There's a lot of stuff freaky out there, that's for sure. Yeah. And Christopher, if anybody follows him with the he wrote the Haunted Ocala. I guess he said he's talked to a lot of people who supposedly in the area of Ocala say that they got lost riding three-wheelers out there, and supposedly these little mischievous little people also have helped people find their way out. And he's had people tell him stories where if you read the book, which is a great book, by the way, he says that they claim that people helped them get out. And so I think those little people are definitely there.
Oh, we started capturing Hatman. I think our first Hatman showed up at Sunny Hill.
Yeah.
And then from there, every once in a while, like I have a whole album in my computer now named Hatman because we even have one Hat Woman. So yeah, I don't know what it is with that, but I think their spirit, I think that's spiritual. And I don't know why they're following us, or I don't know why we're seeing them all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
Strange.
We do have a lot of Hatmen.
You Google the Hat Man, though, it comes up as something that actually does happen.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And we really have legit Hatmen. They really are wearing hats. Also, Plowman.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have captured orbs through the thermal, all kinds of weird stuff through the thermal. But this day, so it looks like we got a plowman. I will call him Plowman. He looks like he's back in the day, and he's holding a plow and he's plowing. And in the video, you can see the plowman. And I scan to the left, and I scan back to the right, scan to the left, scan back to the right, and then he is gone. Maybe that's a residual spirit from back in the day. Maybe he plowed fields. Maybe there were fields back in the day, and he just is doing this job that he did every day, because that's called a residual spirit. And that's the only, because there's no houses out there. There's no people out there. There's no farms
No,
out
there
there.
wasn't.
There's nothing out there. Not one single house out there in Kingdom.
Right. But there were a lot of old homesteads back in the day. So to your point, you
Yes.
have no idea what could have
Yes.
been back there 100, 200 years ago.
Exactly. Like I say, I really believe it's a residual spirit doing what they did many, many, many years ago. We are living in a world of reality here where we are, and there's another world of unreality, and there's dimensions all over the place, and where they come from, I don't know. And how some people can see them is another big question I've always wondered, like, why can't I see what this sensitive person sees? Why are they sensitive and I'm not sensitive? I know everybody's different, and if we were all the same, it'd be a damn boring life. But I still don't understand why sometimes I can feel things sometimes, like as goosebumps, and I have a little bit of intuition that I go with at times. But just being sensitive is a big question. Like, why can't I be sensitive? And
I
we can.
know. I wish I could too.
But also, when it comes to spiritually and flesh and blood, I believe in both. I believe there could be flesh and blood, like we're flesh and blood, but we die and we become a spirit. Our spirit leaves our body, and your spirit's floating around. Same thing with animals. They're alive, then they die. What are they going to do? They're going to roam the woods.
And I think that is the big question with Bigfoot that us and so many other researchers have and would probably love to know the answer to, which is what is it? Is it a flesh and blood creature, or is it something that blends the world of the natural world and the paranormal and supernatural world in a way that we just don't understand yet?
That could be true, but here again, I believe they're both. I just believe they're both. But I do believe that there's flesh and blood. They pass away. They're in spirit, and I think that's why we catch them on our cameras a lot, because I do believe we catch all kinds of little cryptids and little people and little animals.
Pam, what is your theory on Bigfoot?
I'm not going with flesh and blood. I wish I could. I want to. I really do. But I'm more supernatural. Probably because of where I'm from, with everything with Kecksburg. If you know about the Kecksburg incident with the UFO, it's right there. And it all happened in the 70s, but it all went down at the same time. And it's all UFO related with the Bigfoot. I have to say, I go pretty much supernatural with it.
All right, very cool. Now, as far as the personal side of things, what does this work mean to you and how has it changed the way that you see the world?
I'm saying open minded. I have to go with open minded on that one.
It's just kind of help you keep more of an open mind on how you see the world around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's an important characteristic to have in this research just because it can change on a dime. I know so many times we go out thinking that it's going to be a Bigfoot investigation, and really quickly it changes into something far stranger than we could have ever anticipated, or vice versa. So you just really have to be open to whatever and be quick on your feet because things can change pretty quickly out there.
Agreed.
Now, what does this work mean to you, Kathy?
Well, it means showing what's out there every minute I can, because I just think a lot of people, they might go out, but maybe they don't keep everything running and try to get the footage that we need to be getting to show to people that there is weird stuff out there. It also opened a lot of my senses as to keep an open sense. What I mean by that is like smells. I never used to worry about what something smelled like in the forest, just go around. But now I try to keep my smelling senses open. In doing so, I've come across a lot of different smells, and one of them being stinky feet one time. And maybe I would have never thought about that if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. One of them was a very sweet smell, like something was baking. Like, why are those smells coming through? So a lot of times my senses of smelling and listening have opened up more, because like now, and I have another theory about tree knocks, but just like to try to keep my listening senses open and my smelling senses open, because other things are happening around us that we're so close to, because those senses aren't opening. So when I go into a place, I try to relax and open more senses than I have been.
Right. Now, you talk about tree knocks, and I'm really excited to kind of hear about this because I know that in some circles that there is a superstition when we talk about knock on wood that the reason why we do that is because we're talking to the tree spirits to get good luck. And then somehow that corresponds over into the Bigfoot world. So I'd love to hear the tree knock theory.
I feel sometimes, not all the time, but I feel sometimes that these tree rocks are internal
Like they're creating them from.
inside the tree. How I feel about that is sometimes you walk by a tree and you may see a hole. It's round, but it's messed up in the area on the tree. And so how did that get that way? It could be tree spirits like dryads, or it just could be the tree itself from the inside popping out.
Yeah, it definitely could be that dryad spirit, or it's almost like, the pulse of the forest or the heartbeat of the woods. That's a really interesting theory. Now, if anybody else wanted to watch the videos that we talked about today and follow along with your work, where are all the places that they can find you?
Well, this is where you can follow us. We are on TikTok at Bigfoot World Florida 1, Bigfoot World Cryptids Florida. That's our TikTok. And then if you would like to follow us on Instagram at Bigfoot World Cryptids, we are on X on Bigfoot World Cryptids Paranormal Researchers. And then our YouTube is Bigfoot World Cryptids and the Paranormal Researchers of Central Florida. Do keep in mind that's a private group. If you do join that group, please say you saw us on a Dark Florida podcast and or answer the question so you'll be able to get in. Our mods are very tight. So those are the platforms that we're on, and please join us. We love to have you look at all of our stuff that we get, all of our footage. And on our YouTube, we have pinned the possible Bigfoot in the trees. So you can go through and look at all of our YouTube videos where we research and we walk around the woods, and you can see what we do there.
On youtube.com to Dark Florida or to Bigfoot World's YouTube, and you will see us down there in our collaborations. You will see the investigation that we did together. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you. I tell you, it's a lot of hard work, but it's thoroughly enjoyed, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have a real good year. It's going to be fun. We got the Ripleys to look forward to, and God knows what else is going to happen beyond that with us. We're just climbing and moving on and going forward. That's all we can know.
Absolutely. The sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you to Kathy and Pam for coming on and sharing their stories and their research with us this week. The work that they're doing out in the woods matters, and I am truly grateful that they took the time to bring us along for the journey. And to everyone listening, thank you for being a part of the Dark Florida community. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a 5-star review and sharing it with a friend. It really helps. And if you'd like to connect with Dark Florida and find even more content, you can find me on Instagram at Dark Florida Podcast, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@darkflorida411 for full-length episodes and investigations. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/darkflorida. If you have a story you'd like to share or would like to be a guest on a future episode, email me at darkfloridatopodcast@gmail.com. Keep your eyes on the tree line. And until next time, stay curious and stay strange.